Many years ago, in a distant land, there lived a merchant and his 3 daughters. The youngest was the most beautiful and affectionate, which is why she was called Beautiful. However, Belle's beauty was not just external. She had a pure heart and a gentle soul that brightened the lives of everyone around her. His laughter was like soft music in the wind, and his eyes shone like stars in the night. Beauty loved to walk through the flower gardens, where butterflies danced around her, as if recognizing her kindness. She often helped those most in need, without expecting anything in return. In his world, everything seemed more alive and full of magical colors, creating an environment where dreams could flourish. Bella had the gift of transforming simple moments into unforgettable memories, spreading love and joy wherever she went. The magic of her presence was felt by everyone, as if she were a fairy in human form, bringing peace and serenity to restless hearts. One day, the father had to travel far away on business. He gathered his daughters together and said, "I won't be gone for long. When I return, I will bring gifts. What do you want?" Bella's sisters asked for expensive gifts, while she remained silent, with a serene smile on her face, her eyes lost in thought. The father turned to her, saying, "And you, Bella, what do you want to gain?" Bella looked at him tenderly, her eyes shining like stars in the night, and replied, "I want a rose, dear father, because in this country they don't grow, and their scent reminds me of the beauty of life." She then hugged him tightly, conveying all the love and affection she felt. The father, touched by the simplicity and depth of Bella's request, promised to find the most beautiful rose he could. And so, he set off on his journey, taking with him the simple desire of his most affectionate daughter. The farewell was marked by a golden sunset, which colored the sky with magical colors, reflecting the hope and love that filled Bella's heart. She watched her father disappear into the distance, feeling the gentle night breeze caress her face, as if the stars whispered promises of protection and happiness. The man left, concluded his business, and set off on the road back. He wanted to hug his daughters so much that he traveled for a long time without resting. Each step seemed heavier, and his heart yearned to be reunited with his beloved girls. He was very tired and hungry when, a short distance from home, he was surprised in a forest by a furious storm. Lightning lit up the dark sky, and the wind howled like a wild wolf, making him lose his way. Desperate, he began to wander in search of an inn, when suddenly, he discovered a faint light in the distance. With the strength he had left, he headed towards that last hope. Every step was a battle against exhaustion and despair. He arrived at a magnificent palace, which stood majestically in the darkness, with the gate open and welcoming. He knocked several times but no response. Feeling weak and desperate, he decided to go inside to warm up and wait for the owners of the house. The interior of the palace was truly sumptuous, richly lit by golden chandeliers, and furnished in a strange way, as if straight out of a fairy tale. Luxurious tapestries adorned the walls, and a comforting warmth emanated from the roaring fireplace. It was an enchanted refuge in the midst of the raging storm, as if magic was in the air, bringing a sense of security and mystery. He sank into a soft armchair, feeling the tension and tiredness slowly melt away as his eyes closed, lulled by the soft crackling of the fire and the promise of a moment of peace. The old merchant stood in front of the fireplace to dry himself, and noticed that there was a table set for one person, with hot food and delicious wine. The tantalizing aroma of freshly baked bread and succulent meat filled the air, mixing with the welcoming smell of burning wood. Exhausted, he sat down and began to devour everything, feeling the heat of the meal warming his body and soul. Attracted later by the soft golden light coming from a neighboring room, he went there and found a large room with a cozy bed, adorned with satin sheets and pillows as soft as clouds. It seemed like a magical refuge, inviting him to rest. Without hesitation, the man stretched out on the bed, feeling the comfort completely envelop him, and soon fell asleep, as if enveloped in a spell of tranquility. In the morning he woke up feeling refreshed, the first rays of sunlight filtering through the colorful stained glass window. At his side, he found clean clothes and a very filling meal, with fresh fruit, assorted breads and fine cheeses. Every detail seemed to have been carefully prepared to provide comfort and well-being. He felt immensely grateful for this unexpected hospitality, which seemed to have a touch of magic, transforming his journey home into an unforgettable and enchanting experience. Rested and satisfied, Bella's father left the palace, still immersed in the mystery of the place, wondering in amazement why he hadn't found anyone. The silence was profound, only broken by the distant song of morning birds. Near the gate, his eyes were caught by a rose bush with beautiful roses, so perfect that they seemed to be made of silk. He remembered the promise made to Bella and stopped, picking the most fragrant flower, whose sweet and enchanting aroma seemed to transport him to a world of dreams. However, he barely had time to appreciate the beauty of the rose, when he heard behind him a terrifying roar that made his heart freeze. Turning around, he saw a monstrous being of terrifying appearance, whose eyes glowed with fury. The creature, shrouded in an aura of power and menace, advanced and said in a booming voice that seemed to resonate in the depths of the earth, "Is this how you pay for my hospitality, stealing my roses? To punish you, I am forced to kill you." Each word of the monster was carried with immense weight, making the old merchant feel small and defenseless. Fear gripped him, but at the same time, he thought of his daughters, especially Belle, and his heart was filled with despair. The rose, so delicate in her trembling hands, now seemed a fragile symbol of hope in the midst of imminent danger. The merchant threw himself on his knees, his tears mixing with the cold floor, begging him to at least let him go and hug his daughters for the last time. His voice shook with despair as he begged for mercy. The beast, with an implacable look, pondered for a moment before proposing an exchange. Within a week, either he or one of his daughters should return in his place. Terrified and unhappy, the man returned home, his heart heavy with fear and guilt. Upon arriving, he threw himself at his daughter's feet, his face marked by suffering, and asked them what he should do. The atmosphere was charged with tension and sadness. Bella, with her usual calm and courage, approached him and said softly, "It was because of me that they incurred the monster's wrath. It's only fair that I go." The desperate protests of her father, who tried in vain to dissuade her, were of no use. Belle was determined, her determination shining like a serene light amidst the darkness. Each passing moment seemed imbued with a silent magic, an acceptance of fate that only the brave possess. After 7 days, with a firm heart and eyes full of resolute hope, Bella set out for her mysterious destination, leaving behind a trail of love and sacrifice that would touch everyone she loved. Belle's journey was shrouded in mystery and magic, each step taken with the courage of someone about to face the unknown. The image of the palace, with its distant lights and shadow of the beast, became a symbol of his destiny, a place where his indomitable spirit would be tested, but also where the true essence of love and beauty would be revealed. Arriving at the monster's home, he found everything as his father had described, and was also unable to find a living soul. He then began to visit the palace, and what was his surprise, when arriving at an extraordinary door, he read the inscription there in golden letters, "Beauty's apartment." The magic of the golden letters seemed to shine with a light of their own, inviting her in. He entered and found himself in a large wing of the palace, bright and splendid. The walls were adorned with stunning tapestries, and from the windows there was an enchanting view of the garden, where exotic flowers danced in the wind. Everything there exuded an aura of charm and mystery, as if it were in a dream. At lunchtime, she felt a knock on the door and approached fearfully. Belle's heart quickened, and she cautiously opened the door, finding herself in front of the beast. Frightened, her instinct was to turn back and flee through the rooms, her dress billowing as she ran. Having reached the last room, Bella realized that she had been followed by the monster. She felt lost and was about to beg for mercy from the terrible being, when he, with a gentle and pleading growl, said to her, "I know I look horrible and I apologize, but I'm not bad, and I hope that my company one day can be pleasant to you. For now, I would like to ask you, if you can, to honor me with your presence at dinner." The beast's voice, although hoarse and frightening, carried a deep sincerity. The words touched Bella's heart, and despite her fear, she felt a spark of curiosity and compassion. The surroundings seemed to whisper promises of secrets revealed and destinies intertwined, wrapped in a magic that slowly began to transform fear into cautious curiosity. The presence of the beast, so feared, now seemed like just a chapter at the beginning of an extraordinary story full of enchantments. still terrified, but a little less fearful. Beauty consented, and at the end of the afternoon she understood that the beast was not so evil. They spent many weeks together, and Bella, every day, felt more attached to that strange being, who knew how to be very kind, cultured and polite. Time seemed to flow enchantingly, as if each moment was wrapped in its own magic. One afternoon, the beast took Beauty aside and timidly said to her, "Since you've been here, my life has changed. I discovered that I fell in love with you. Bella, will you marry me?" The girl, taken by surprise, didn't know what to answer and to save time said, "To make such an important decision, I want to ask my father for advice, who I haven't seen in a long time." The beast thought for a while, but he loved her so much that, in the end, he let her go, making her promise that after 7 days she would return. When the father saw Bella return, he couldn't believe his eyes, as he imagined her already devoured by the monster. He jumped on her neck and covered her with kisses. Then they began to tell everything that had happened, and the days passed so quickly that Bella didn't realize that well over 7 had already passed. One night, in a dream, he thought he saw the beast dead near the rose bush. He remembered his promise and desperately ran to the palace. The full moon illuminated her path, and the wind whispered in her ears as if guiding her back to her destination. Near the rose bush, he found the beast dying, the monster's body lying motionless on the ground. Then Bella hugged him tightly, tears streaming down her face, and said, "Oh, I beg you, don't die. I thought I only had great esteem for you, but as I suffer, I realize that I love you." With those words, the beast opened his eyes and let out a radiant smile. To Beauty's great astonishment, he began to transform into a splendid young man, his monstrous features disappearing to reveal a charming prince. The young man, moved, looked her in the eyes and said, "An evil enchantment had trapped me in that monstrous body. Only by making a girl fall in love could he beat him, and you are the chosen one. Will you marry me now?" She didn't make him repeat the request, and, from then on, Beauty and the beast lived happily and in love. The palace, once shrouded in shadow and mystery, now glowed with the light of true love, and the gardens bloomed with a beauty never seen before, reflecting the magic of the new beginning they shared. Every corner of the palace now seemed to pulse with life and joy. Flowers were blooming in vibrant colors, birds were singing enchanting melodies, and the gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of roses. Belle and the prince's days were filled with laughter, deep conversations, and moments of pure happiness. Together, they explored the secrets of the vast palace, discovering new magical corners with each step. The nights were equally wonderful, under a starry sky that seemed to shine with a special splendor, testifying to the eternal love they had found. The magic of true love broke not only the prince's spell, but also brought a renewal to the very world around him. The people of the kingdom began to talk about the tale of Beauty and the Beast, inspiring many to believe in the transformative power of love. And so, living in a palace that became a symbol of hope and enchantment, Beauty and the Beast continued to share their lives in perfect harmony, knowing that their love for each other was the true magic that transformed everything in its way. Around.